I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Well, hello. Welcome to Mentorship Mondays with Michelle and Maren. We are here to have another, I feel like I should say, like when the news starts, like do, 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 do. Welcome to the Energetic Report with Michelle and Maren. We're all things spiritual, all things paranormal. Yeah. Hi, Maren. How you doing?
Well, hello, Michelle. Over here in Indiana, we're doing just fine.
The energy report says things are getting weird. Things are getting weird.
Things are getting weird. Oh my gosh, I have a story for you.
Okay.
So, like speaking of manifestation, we did that chat GTP manifestation
Yeah.
and kind of like, I don't know, I'm just kind of surprised by what I manifested. So, my manifestation was that I would wake up before everyone, wake up early and do like yoga, journaling, whatnot, and I have a habitual problem of just snoozing my alarm way too long. So that was going to be like a struggle, right? To be able to um, wake up before everyone and have time to do me. But I've been really working on like how I'm important, how it's important to have me time, and really like focusing on like the psychological things that have been stopping me. Plus, reading that amazingly specific and graphic and creative ChatGTP story, I think very much helped me. So I expected that when my alarm clock would go off, I would just pop out of bed. And that was like how that whole thing was going to manifest. Well, I think I kind of alluded to this last week. I've been waking up before my alarm goes off
Yeah.
for various reasons. I kind of said that like it happened like a few times last week where I would like I heard something and I jumped out of bed for before my alarm clock, went off, and then I just went down and did my yoga and my journaling. Well, this week it's been something every single day. I have woken up before my alarm. And what's kind of cool is that, like, I think maybe last week or maybe the beginning of this week, I don't know, but at the beginning when I started waking up before my alarm, I would still like snooze my alarm, but I wouldn't snooze it as much. And so I would have some time, but I was snoozing my alarm. And then, like, I don't know if it was during a meditation or just a revelation that I was like, wait a minute. The fact that I'm waking up before my alarm means that the universe is like fulfilling this for me. And I just kind of like imagined my higher self like waking me up in the morning. And I'm like, man, if my higher self wants this for me, then like I need to answer the call and I need to do this and I need to like, I'm doing this for me. And so now every single morning, like when I wake up before my alarm, I get up right away and I go do me because like I just feel like I'm being so supported and I have to show them that this is something that I wanted to manifest and I like take their offerings or their helpings like seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And so even this morning, like I woke up and it's like dark when you wake up still. So it's like you have no reference of is this middle of the night or is this, 6 a.m.? I have no idea. And but I woke up and I remember thinking, I wonder if this is before my alarm or if I should go back to sleep. And then I was like kind of thinking about my dream a little bit. It was a very odd dream as always. And then boom, my alarm went off and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It did it again. So I got up and I did my yoga and my journaling and had a little peaceful moment. And then my husband woke up and we had a good conversation. And then the kids woke. It was like just like the most beautiful morning. And I have to say, I give so much gratitude to like the universe And I just did not expect that this would manifest in a way that I'm waking up before my alarm. Like, it's so odd. Never in
Yeah.
my life have I woken up before my alarm, and I'm consistently waking up before my alarm.
That's a big deal. Like that is a big deal. And I love what you said about the like fulfilling that. And because that's a responsibility is when you ask for something, you're creating something, you're following through. You're doing. So you're
Yeah.
taking the nudge and you're doing. Because there's a lot of times we get into this place of we're getting glimpses of the future, glimpses that we can tap into of what we see for ourselves or what we're looking to obtain. And there's all these little things that come to us. And something that was said to me a long time ago was, you're asking for a lot of things and you deserve them, but what about all the things that you're ignoring, the little things? So what I mean by that is, no, I'm saying like that is a big thing, to have that experience and to realize that ability of working with the universe and seeing how things, like, we could get right into the science of it, of how the energy works and how consciousness works. But if you think about it, think as an example, if somebody is saying, well, I'll use myself, writing a book. And when is it going to get published? When are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? Okay. If I'm putting all those things out there, but if I wasn't writing, if I wasn't actually taking the actions, so I'm asking for this. So it's like changing the perception of not waiting for things to appear, but what are you taking control of? So when the call comes, the inspiration comes, when the universe creates time for you, when you've been asking for, I want to be able to write, I want to be able to do this, and you're suddenly given 2 extra hours a week, something that was removed, and instead you scroll on the internet, right? So you asked for something, you're creating something, and then you were given that nudge and you could have easily gone back to sleep, but you didn't. And so that's just opened another gateway. That's just created another door to expand for even more, to bring that vision into your reality, right? That's pretty amazing. It's neat to experience.
It's super neat to experience. And I think it was such a shift in perspective too, because like before, if I would have woken up to my alarm, or like when I was pressing snooze, I was saying, yeah, but cuddling is important too. Or
Yeah.
yeah, but just being in this warm bed is a gift to myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would have like all these reasons
Yeah.
not to.
Yeah.
So to like have it happen, and then to have the shift, like, no, I'm acknowledging you today. I'm acknowledging the gift you gave me, and I'm gonna get up. Like, I don't know, it's just like a whole shift
It's
in
like
perspective.
future me just created this space for present me. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to say thanks, future me, for
Yeah.
this nudge, and I'm going to take it. And and there are times where cuddling time and warm bed, and like, don't take that away from yourself, because there are days that that's
Yes.
needed, and that's the important part of tuning in. Like, I really need this today. I really want this today. So that's
Yes.
really listening to yourself for the times that that's
Yeah.
really needed, but also seeing the perspective of, this is what's good for me. This is
Yeah.
what's good for me. And this is going to really start my day out well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It just kind of has blown my mind
Yeah.
this week that that's one of the things they manifested. And it's
Yeah.
like,
That's awesome.
it's beyond like just, oh well, your effort, or your, like, okay, I got up when my alarm clock went off, and I'm just trying to prove it to myself to manifest it, which that is manifestation as well. But
Yeah.
it's like beyond that. It's like I don't have
Yeah.
like no control, at least I don't think I have control over when I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and yet and I'm doing it like literally probably 2 minutes at most before my alarm
Yeah.
goes off. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's amazing what we are like. We are powerful. Each and every one of us are
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Our beliefs and our ability to work with our perceptions and shift things is unbelievably powerful. It truly
Yeah.
is. And it's fun. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, but it takes consistency, right? Like it takes
Yes, it
practice
does.
and um, acceptance, acceptance
Hmm.
of the process, because not everything comes quickly. So there's a lot of consistency and trust in the process, but it's pretty amazing. And
Hmm.
so we're talking about consciousness and just with perceptions and those things. I had a I've had a very interesting week. Um, it's a lot of themes, and like that's the way I feel and see things energetically and patterns and that sort of thing. And I had some guidance come in, really saying to share this today about consciousness and about the changes that are happening right now in the world and the importance of being able to identify where we are at and to really take seriously, let's see if I put this in the right words, to take seriously, where we're going. And, you know, as I say that, there's so much that happens around us that feels out of our control, that is out of our control. And yet we do have an opportunity to, because we're all collectively connected. We're all connected into the consciousness, and whether we call this being in the time of awakening or the big shift, or however it is defined through science, through religion, through spirituality, it doesn't matter. It is something that we are doing collectively. And our belief system has such a big part of this. I'll tell you directly because the message was a bit abrupt that came in. So I was looking for ways of being able to soften it, but I'm getting, don't, just give it the way it is. And the message is, it's time to stop looking at everything that's outside of you. It's time to stop looking at what is beyond you, or looking at what is beyond your control and blaming that for absolutely everything in your life. If you are looking to make changes in your life and you feel like you're in a cycle, or you wonder, when will this ever happen? It is not the circumstances outside of you that are holding you back. It is the belief that those circumstances are holding you back. For each and every one of you has an opportunity to tune into your own power that is not more than any other, but it is your responsibility to be able to look within yourself, which no one else can do for you. And now is the time. Now is the time to take the deeper responsibility, to understand where it is that you are going. And you may not understand how you are going to get there. And you don't always need to know how you're going to get there. But to understand that you're focused on your own life, not on what's happening with your next door neighbors, not on what's happening on the drama through the internet, through the television screen, through politics, or the gossip at the water cooler. But to continue to focus on what's going on what we call your side of the street. What is happening that is within your control? Where are you focusing your energetic value? Where do you put that each and every day? That is where your power builds. That is where your ability to direct the energy in a way that will best support you. For when you do that for yourself, you take a position of leadership, not only for yourself, but all those you are connected to in your life, your relationships. And that spreads out to the greater collective. With so many different things that are going on in this world, will be very clear to you right now, and to be very clear to say, the biggest changes have already begun. And while it may be easy to go into fear, we're not asking you to not acknowledge what is taking place, but we are asking you to have a distance of information, to step back and to step out of any drama or any choices, arguments, confrontations, and understand that any of that is not going to give anything closer to what it is that you truly desire. In each step of the process that is taking place today, there are gifts for each individual and for the collective as a whole to be able to perceive the experiences as a gift. It is your duty or your assignment to choose to perceive it in that way. So there we go.
So Michelle, I feel like that's the first time you've like kind of channeled like that on our mentorship show.
Yeah.
So is that a specific person or?
So when that comes through, I've always addressed that as my higher self.
Okay.
When it comes through, it comes, and I have to be honest, I don't really have a name for this energy.
Okay.
They come through, they come through in the top of my head, and as a collective, it feels like,
Okay.
and I've not really been given a name.
Okay.
The only thing that I've ever been able to describe it as is the higher self.
Okay.
And even as I'm saying that right now, I'm getting the collective higher self.
Okay.
So is that source? Is that a galactic presence? Yes, that's there. I can feel that. But I can also feel angelic energy, because when it is specifically galactic, it's more of a, like, angelic comes around the top of my head here, and a galactic is more like a band. It feels a little bit different. But when I do that, it's very combined. It's like my whole head, and it's not a heavy feeling. It's like a hat being put on. It feels like a little hat. And I feel very aware as I'm speaking, but there is not a, like, for me, channeling, I've tuned into this energy before. And I have with Eric as well, and a couple other groups that I've channeled, or entities that I've channeled. And this one in particular seems to be very, how do I explain it? Direct. Very direct.
Yeah.
Like, the language is very direct. So there's not this feeling of searching. Like, sometimes when I'll channel, it'll be a pause. So I don't know if you notice that, but it'd be a pause where it's like, you can almost feel more of a human spirit type energy to it. I think that's what I'm looking for to explain. This one feels different than that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a human spirit.
Yes. It didn't sound human. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's all part of the unfolding. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because when I channel for somewhere or someone, particularly that group or being will come through and I'll have that information. And when I channel for myself, and I sometimes will channel and speak into a recorder, you know,
So you
see,
can listen later.
yeah. And it's very interesting to do that because it feels a little weird because it
Yeah.
doesn't, I don't feel like it's me,
You're like,
you know?
wow. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, whoa, I said that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way of putting those words together. Or,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to the message. I'm sorry. I totally took you down a rabbit
Yeah.
hole
It's
there.
okay. It's okay.
So what I got from that was, focus on yourself. And I mean, really, that's what I got from it. Focus on yourself. Everything else is a distraction. And don't go down these storylines of fear and lack, and just focus on yourself. And that's where the improvement will be. Is that kind of what you feel?
Yeah. The visuals that I was getting were, I was seeing like, a lot of internet, like e-news.
Yeah.
Like I was seeing like different flashes of the internet and how, because we're in a time where we're seeing a lot come to light,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of things that we can become attached to because we know that we're not being shown the truth. We know that
Right.
there's more behind it, but we don't know everything or all of it. And we also have to remember that, like anything else on any scale, whether we're talking about our own lives and it might be family members, it could be in our neighborhood where we're getting bits and pieces and we know this is not true, how it's being presented is not true. And then we start to focus and dig in to find the truth. Well, what is the benefit of doing that? Because that's the question to this. Because when you focus on something else other than yourself to the degree of trying to prove yourself right, or because there's an injustice, and a lot of times that is a very strong feeling. And I felt it. I know many people feel that. It's like I'm angry. I'm upset. Like that's an injustice. How can they get away with that? How can that happen? But we have to remember that if there is something that we cannot actively do, unless there's a role that we can play, that, and I'm not, like, I'm careful in how I say this too, because this is using your discernment as well in this, because let's use the neighborhood for an example. So if you have a neighbor or you have somebody in your community that is doing something that is perceived as immorally correct, or something that triggers you, you don't like it, you have to go into the feeling of why, keep bringing it back to yourself. Because if you, and ask yourself, why are you invested? What are you looking for? So as I'm saying that, I'm actually thinking of a story that I heard not that long ago, where somebody in a neighborhood was so interested in everybody else's business that they go above and beyond to call, some neighborhoods have like I don't know what it's called. It's like a program, like you can only have certain colored garbage bins, and like it's a,
Like the HOA, the
yes,
homeowners
thank you.
association.
Yes, yeah. And so they would go and like tattle on people all the time, or because they didn't like how it made their home look, or how it, Okay, so there's a fine line because all of us know somebody like this, right? We all know somebody in our community or in our world that has to know everybody's business and that wants to make sure that things are done a certain way. And so that person, okay, so let's just focus on that person doing all that. Well, on the other side of things, how many people are focusing on the person that is nosy and they're like, oh, there she goes again, or there he goes again, and keeps focusing on almost letting that person know that what they're doing is unjust, right? So there's a little bit of a cycle that takes place here because you've got one person that is in everybody else's business, and then you've got other people that are kind of ganging up together and calling out the person that's too nosy. Okay, so stay with me with this because there's a point to this. So whether that is, I'm speaking of a small community in this type of nature, or if I'm talking about seeing somebody on TV and there's been something that's come out in the news and everybody's pointing their finger at that person, but that person actually is, let's say it's a rumor. They're being brought forward for a rumor, but there are behaviors that people have seen. We will very quickly, as a collective, we've come to a place where we very quickly will crucify that person. We will judge that person. We will put on them, that person's crazy. They're nosy. They're, and that is no different than the person who is looking at the lady in the neighborhood, the person on the news that has maybe had the behavior or done something. Do you see how much energy just in having this conversation, just in saying this? Look at how much space is taken up going back and forth in this conversation. That is what is happening for many people on a day-to-day basis. And at the same time, it may be subtle. It may be a phone call, hey, did you hear about this? And then a scroll. And then a conversation over here. And then I'm in the line somewhere and somebody starts to complain about the prices. And then a conversation about politics takes place. So it's not necessarily one isolated conversation. It's the buildup of where your energy is being focused. It's like collecting change. So if you carry some dollar bills and some change in or some loonies and toonies in your pockets, and you wonder, like, wow, I had 20 of them at the beginning of the week and they're all gone. But you have change and you're just kind of throwing it out here and there. You want to think of your energy in that way. Think of your consciousness, your ability to direct that energy as so valuable. That is your most valuable source within you, is where you focus that. And so by the end of the day,
you can't get back is time.
That's right.
The only true commodity.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if by the end of the day, the week, you're burnt and tired and think, wow, like it's my relationship, it's my this, it's my that, and those things very well could be a contributing factor. But what are you doing with that energy? And, are you taking something that has hurt you and talking about it everywhere? Are you running that same story everywhere, everywhere, everywhere? Are you mad at this situation? And so you keep talking about it because you don't understand. Well, sometimes we're not going to understand. Sometimes we're not going to understand what's happening on the outside of us. A lot of times because we don't have all the information, but we may not need the information because it has nothing to do with us. What has to do with us is how it makes us feel and why are we feeling that is necessary. So is it a distraction? Are we distracting ourselves from something that maybe is actually at a core that we could focus on that's going to create the greatest difference for ourselves? Because when we start pulling the reins in on where all that energy is being focused, then things surface. And that's a tough one, because how many people hearing this or know people that have difficulty sitting still, that are on the go, want to do things all the time, on the go, wanting to plan things, wanting to be with other people? Not bad things. This is not a judgment about any of that. This is humanness. But it's, are you able to be with yourself? Are you able to pull back these conversations? How does it feel when you look at a situation that you see, that you observe, and that maybe you don't like? Because this isn't about saying that you need to just kind of do this and close your eyes to everything and say, well, yeah, I don't like that. I'm just going to pretend I don't see it. I'm just going to pretend it's not my business. I'm just going to keep focusing over here. That's not really the point. The point is you can still observe things and say, well, I don't really understand what the reasons are there. I maybe don't agree with so-and-so lady that lives on the corner that points out everybody else's problems. And when she comes to me and comes into my yard, into, my space, I have the opportunity to direct the conversation and let her know, thank you for the information, I will not be doing this, or however that is, that then it's in my realm, it's in my field to deal with. But what I got from that channeling is, where are you jumping into other situations? Not only what are you distracting with your attention, but are you jumping in and trying to solve other people's situations? Are you taking on a project of somebody else's life? And, you're going to say
To me,
something.
it sounds like, are you like the energetic energy that you are associating with that, you're telling a story, and the story is going on too long because you're invested, right? And so we need to just stop the story that we're saying about these people. So when, I don't remember her name, but all I'm thinking about is Bewitched. Have you seen, did you watch Bewitched? And there's that one neighbor that's always,
Yes.
so like that's kind of, I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
I
I
want to say Mrs.
remember.
Kravitz, but that's like, I feel like that's another show. But
Sounds
but
familiar,
anyway,
but yeah.
right? I don't know. But how are you addressing her? How are you receiving her, right? I feel like, kind of like we talked about with that like psychic protection, there is kind of like an energetic wall that you can put up so that you
Yeah.
are not getting into that energy. And I think when you said you were like scrolling on the internet, or when you were seeing those images of scrolling on the internet, I always think of the Neil deGrasse quote where he says, there's a lot of people that think that they know a lot about a topic. And he's like that really renowned astrophysicist guy. And he's like, but then you get to a level where you know so much that you couldn't know everything. So there's like the people that think that they know everything about a topic, but then once you actually do know so much, you realize there's no way you could know everything. And I think if you kind of have that mindset with the news, just don't get emotionally invested, because there's no way that you or the commentator or anybody can know everything about that subject. There's always two sides, which I guess leads to perception, right? We all have this perception of reality, and Mrs. Kravitz's perception and the other neighbor's perception and your perception are all the same, but don't waste your energetic energy on that. Really focus on yourself and the feelings that you feel, and the goals you want to achieve, because like you're saying, it's like now is the time to do that, and now is the time to let go of all that other energy and the labels that we attach to that, so that you can focus on yourself. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I got.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, in a nutshell, that is really it. Is we don't know everything. We know ourselves and the circumstances that we've weaved in and out of, and truly many of us have either been on the path of deeply understanding that or are just starting. So it goes right back to, how can I have compassion for others when I don't have compassion for myself? How can I teach others when I've never learned this myself? It's
Mhm.
that same bringing it in to be able to bring it out, but we don't know everything. And we couldn't possibly. There's infinite information, infinite possibilities, and everybody's situation, everybody's circumstance, even when it comes to the hard topics like politics and all of those things. There are stories, all kinds of stories. And our discernment is one thing, what we believe, but not being attached. Because as we see and have seen and will continue to see, there may be many things that we as a collective, as individuals, have been attached to a belief or an idea about something, about somebody, that we end up finding out very different. So we're in the times of the cracking belief systems, uprooting belief systems, and creating more of a way of flowing through the world that is in co-creation. It's in a way of continuously going in and then coming back out better than when we went in, which we do over and over. So that message, like you said, Maren, that message is truly broken down to really pay attention to what you are repeating, where you are focusing, and if there's something that really creates a reaction within you, allow yourself the opportunity to really explore what that is, because you may be connecting to a story because it's giving you a sense of doing something or being involved in something when you've got something else in your life that you're feeling out of control in. And
It's that, like, I think about that too. And you have this emotional reaction to a news story, right? And then you start having that story of judgment about the news story, right? It's like, what is it about that story of judgment? And I think that we just all have like two different perceptions can be the same truth, right? Like that, like there's like what happened, then there's like you can have five different people see the same thing and five different people come away with a different perception of that event that happened. One person's happy about it, one person's mad about it, one person saw this, one person was fearful, one person was afraid, one person was excited. Like everybody can have it, but it's all the same truth. So I just think it's just so important to, because like through mindfulness, this is like one of the biggest theories of mindfulness, is we have this emotion, you have this visceral reaction to the news, which is, or to the social media gossip, or to the neighbor or whatever. You have that visceral reaction, right? And mindfulness teaches us to separate, to just let that emotion happen. It's fine, but separate that story that you begin to tell yourself. So even if it's like, why does she always get the promotion? Why does she always get the recognition? My boss never sees that. My boss never notices that I do that, right? Like you start telling yourself this story, or, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. She's a liar. She always lies. Remember when she lied back then? Remember, you know what I mean? Like you just have this story. And I just don't think that it's just not okay for your emotional time. But B, part of mindfulness is separating the emotion from the story and just feel the emotion and let it go. And that's how you can separate yourself and save all your energetic energy for
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfectly said, because that's the not closing your eyes to what you feel, but allowing yourself to have that feeling, because it's not about pushing it away. It's allowing it to be present and then choosing to move forward from it.
And then if you cannot separate, because news cycles are meant to be addictive, right? The social media is meant to be addictive. If you have a hard time separating from yourself from it, you can do what I did. It was funny. You read that and I was like, this is really interesting. Kind of goes along with what I did this week. I put downtime on my phone for all my social media apps because I noticed that I was getting addicted to social media. And if my husband heard me right now, he'd be rolling his eyes because he knows that it's true. And so I put restraints. I can't get onto them. I
Yeah.
tried. I struggled with this for a while, and I was like, I'm just going to delete my apps. I'm just going to delete my apps. But then it's like, you delete your apps, you delete all the blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh my god, my life, is chronicled on these. Like I can't delete them. So then they were still there. So then if you go into your screen time, you can do downtime.
Yeah.
And so I said downtime all the time for these specific apps, and it's all the social media apps. So that, and even YouTube. But I was
Yeah.
like, well, I still have YouTube on my computer, so I can, and then everything's a podcast. So I have podcasts, so I'm good, I'm covered. But I'm not going to be YouTubing like, things I don't need to
Yeah.
be YouTubing.
Yeah.
So there are ways, if you need help with this, technology can help you with this as well.
Yes. Yes,
So,
absolutely. Just as you're saying that, it's funny because I took my phone. My son doesn't have a phone of his own, and he likes using the iPhone. So he likes to make stop motion videos with my
oh yeah,
phone. So
yeah.
I'll hand him my phone when I'm done doing whatever and let him just play and make videos with it. And I shut my notifications and everything are off. And that can, well, I mean, a lot of text messages come through and I don't always get them right away, but it helps me have time away from things, time away from my emails, time away from, and I keep my computer downstairs so I don't carry it around with me or anything. But yeah, it's finding ways to help. And it's also not getting on ourselves and saying, well, I can't do that, because there's always a way. There's always a way we can do something to help ourselves. But it's that commitment, to finding that and sticking to it the best we can. Yeah. And
And
being
that's what I
human.
always, yeah, that's what I would say. Like, oh, I can't delete this because I need this. And then I was like, when was the last time we made a post? I looked, it's like still your December 31st post. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Yeah.
downtime.
Finding ways.
Yeah.
So what's interesting, and a lot of things have come through this week, like just with this conversation that we're having today and talking about consciousness. And so I've had this little project that's been going on for a period of time, and it's been no secret that I've been writing, and I write very like I don't sit down for 20 minutes every day and write. I write when there's inspiration that comes through, and there's something that you know is significant, and I've got them in different books because I don't know exactly what's going to go with what. So I've got like a storyboard with like different sections, and I don't know how it's all going to come together, but what has come through. And this is going to be a new offering on my website. And there is going to be a class coming up, so that's going to be posted today. So you guys have this on Monday. If you're interested, you can go on thehealingheart.com for this. But what I'm going to be offering, and this is part of what I am creating currently, but I have a new service that I'm offering, and it is a little different than, for those of you that have worked with me before and regularly, I don't think you'll find this hugely different. It's the approach and how I'm putting it together. And it's called Creation Overhaul. And what it is I'm reading my notes here, it's an energetic deconstruction and reconstruction. And so here's the thing. With this is specifically for the individual that is in a place where they're very serious about making changes. You have a belief system and a commitment. And I say commitment because when you start to make some of these changes and you start to work in this way, things can come up, things will shift, and you want to be ready to do that. And so the conditions really are you serious? Are you ready? And it's a blueprint is what I'm offering you. So what would happen is, you book the service. This is something that is not, it's going to take me a process to do it. So it would take, I'm thinking around giving it a 3-week time span. So if you're booking the service, you're going to give me some information such as, of course, your name, your birth date. There'll be a couple other things that you can read on the offering, what's required, what information I'm going to need. And what you will do is then you will submit the information, and then we will book an appointment. Okay, so I will give you an appointment time that we'll work out together. And between the time of your booking and your appointment, I'm going to create a blueprint for you. And that blueprint is your energetic deconstruction in your life and what the reconstruction process is, with any guidance that can fit in there. Now, it would help if there was a specific focus. So for example, if it was, and keeping in mind everything is connected. So there may be, you're focusing on partnerships. You're looking for a committed relationship in your life. And there's going to be a lot of deconstruction through the systems of maybe your past relationships, belief systems, and there may be some other areas of your life that need to be deconstructed that are connected to relationship, because everything has. And this is my love. This is my baby. This is what I love to do. I'm an energetic pattern recognizer. This is the process that I learned directly for the last 10 years of what I've done through trial and error and working with spirit in my own life. So, if it's communication, if it's your business, I can deconstruct and reconstruct anything. It might be, it might actually be, maybe it's an event you're planning. Maybe it's, I'm almost getting like, it's something that you're offering. Maybe it's a retreat you're offering. Maybe it doesn't matter what it is. It's your energy invested in something is what the requirements are, and your seriousness. It could be your awakening process. It's whatever is in front of you, and then providing me with the key points, and then I'm going to go in and connect into your energy and start to pluck and pick and move energy around to give you almost like a blueprint, a map that you can follow, that's going to give you the bones of moving through this process to help give you more of a light bulb in the fog. And, this is something that if we have one-on-one sessions, a lot of times there's a lot of space between our sessions. Like I do have mentorship sessions, but those are mostly focused with mediumship and spirit communication. And so this is more your life, creation of your life and what's most important to you. And it's the things that are most important to us that gives us the fuel to start to make a difference. And these building blocks will help you understand you a little deeper and give you the results. But the results are all based on what you are willing to put in.
So I have a question, Michelle.
Yeah.
So if I were to come to you, I'm kind of coming with my main like concern or question, right? Is that what I would be doing? So like, oh, go ahead.
Well, concern. So, for example, what area of your life do you feel is the issue? So, what you might
Like I
feel
need
like,
help with growth.
yes.
What area do
So,
I need help with growth?
let's say, for example, okay, so let's say your area is your mediumship.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say it is mediumship. Let's say it is spiritual connection. Well, what the blueprint and the energetic research into your energy is going to do, it's going to show you the areas of your life that need to make shifts or changes in, and give you some guidance on how those changes would be best for you to take the steps.
Okay.
And then give you some guidance on how to construct your day-to-day living to help marry that achievement, to help bring that achievement into your life. And so if it's relationship, the same thing. What's in there? Like what are basically the blockages energetically? Where are these pieces? So I'll say it like this, and I may come back and ask you a couple questions. So if you say it's relationship, committed relationship, okay, can you tell me what has been your past issues in relationship? I might pick up on and get some guidance that you have had relationship issues in your family with parents, so I might ask you a couple questions, but I'm going to go in energetically with the information and go through your system and your structure based on not only what I'm getting intuitively, but also I've got my own systems that I've created for myself that I used, that I learned the process of taking my own intuitive guidance that I was getting and researching the patterns. So I can identify patterns that are taking place and be able to take those patterns and reconfigure. So what can you use as fuel? Where can you redirect your energy right now? So when we come to meet, so once the blueprint's done, that'll get emailed to you. So you have the information. And then we would meet and we'd sit down together for an hour and we'll talk about the blueprint. So you'll have a chance to review it. And then when we come together, we'll be able to go through the different areas and answer any questions and help show you some direction, help understand the changes. And a lot of times, it's going to reveal things that you know. It's going to reveal some things that you might feel that, yeah, I kind of knew I needed to do that, or I kind of felt that before. And it's going to be a little different depending on what is it mediumship? Is it a business? Is there a cycle that's stuck? Is it illness? Are you in a place where you have been ill for a period of time? And it's not necessarily, although there may be some guidance in there for you, because of course our health is connected to everything. So there'll be some guidance in there for you, but it's also giving you some daily, might be some affirmations that come in. It might be some guidance weekly of what's important for you, for the mind, the belief system, because you're deconstructing where you've been. And we can only do that by identifying where you are right now. So understanding where is this? What's in your field right now? Where is your thinking right now? Where is your belief system? And it's not only on the conscious level, but we're going into the subconscious. So we're going into these areas that are driving a lot of your experiences, but maybe not necessarily an obvious thing. So we want to deconstruct these things and then package it in such a way where you feel like you have, rather than a book that tells you all of these different, ideas and about forgiveness and surrender and all these things, which are great, but it's taking those things and applying it directly to you, personalizing it to you.
Yeah.
So that you have something to reference to help expand your system and to move, like we were talking, Maren, in the beginning, we're talking about the cycles and how our consciousness, how our evolution is, it's not circular going like this, linear going forward, but it's coiled and goes like this, right? So as we go through our own ascension, through our life, we get into these different areas where we just continue to coil. And sometimes we can go down a little bit, sometimes we can go back up. But the thing is we want to be able to identify those spaces when it's gone past due. So when are we hitting the same lessons in different ways over and over? So can we identify what your current reality is saying to you? It's interpreting what's happening vibrationally. Where is your frequency right now? Where is it being directed consciously and unconsciously? Where are your patterns, but where are your best ways to direct based on you, based on your system, your soul, your all components? So it's using a little of this and a little of that, a little bit of the numbers, the shapes, the vibrations, and putting that together with your own connection to consciousness. And what is your avenue of moving through that? So that you can start to change different things. Working in relationship I find is very connected to our finances. So when we have challenges with finances, there can be cycles continuing in relationship. And that tends to go back and forth quite a bit. And when one starts to have an improvement, the other one might present with an issue. And so actually going into the issue, say on the relationships, starts to expand the finances. So it's all of these things that, to be able to see the patterns and to see the wavelengths of the directions that are available to you and giving you the information so that you can start to take the steps to see and feel the results, the progress, rather than continuing to go around blindly and say, why, can start to move from them. But it does take commitment, because it's one thing to receive the information and it's another thing to apply it. And so, what's going to be for one is going to look different for somebody else. So it's not really something that is a one size fits all, because we all have different components to our life. And so, Maren, you have offered so kindly to, so we're doing this workshop called Creation Overhaul. And Maren has volunteered for me to work through her blueprint, and we're going to use that blueprint in the workshop to help teach you how to, like, what this is, to help teach you how to apply this to your life. So if you're not interested in, having a one-on-one, having it personally done for yourself, you can learn the highlights and the information where you can start to dive for yourself, or check it out and see if that is something that you want for yourself. And so, it's a win-win. No matter what, you've got a lot of information that will help you. And so that's going to be on the website, and both and I think the date we chose was the 27th of April, which is a Sunday, and we're going to be doing it in the evening. So everything will be posted on there. All the details will be posted. And that day actually works out to be a number 4. Maren and I saw it. It's a number 4 in numerology. And the number 4 is encouragement, foundation, stability, growth, all of those things. So that was, it was kind of neat. Kind of a nice little validation.
And the 27th, if you take it by itself, is a 9, which is our number for the year.
Yes.
Shedding,
transformation. Yes. Yeah. So it's a great number. And the other thing before we do any closing is I want to add this as well. And this is for my daughter, Shelby. Very excited to announce that Shelby has a little offering on my website. And yes, this has been in the works for some time, and she's just come to the time now where she feels like she's ready. And it's Intuitive Tarot by Shelby. And yeah, the offering is there. And what it is she'll respond with your reading by email, and she does it within 48 hours. And so she's done this, like throughout people in our community and whatnot, but this is the first time where she's going public with a lot of this. And she's had quite a journey. I've talked about it before, but when she had her motorcycle accident, quite a bit shifted for her. And it was a continuous healing path, which she is still on. But she feels ready, that she's able to use her abilities and communication. And she does love using the tarot. Oh, did I? What is?
You're there.
I'm still there. Okay. Yeah. So she really likes using the tarot, and she's very intuitive with it. So she uses it like a guideline, and she channels through it. So what she had come up with is, if you've got 3 different questions, 3 different areas, and she'll tune in to each area, tell you what cards were pulled, and give you an interpretation for all areas. And she communicates with Eric. She's got another guide.
I'll be her first customer. I'll go book right now.
Oh, she'll love that. She'll be really happy. She'll love that. Yeah. So that is up as well. So if anybody feels called to connecting with Shelby, you just book it, and she will email you back, and she'll have your reading within 48 hours. And all the instructions and her story and everything is there under the offerings. And what else is there? I think that's it. I think that's everything for today. There's just, thank you for letting me bring all that out. I feel so excited because this morning before Maren and I jumped on, I had a really sweet interaction with a guide. And that was the prompt to be able to present this today, because I wasn't really prepared to do this today. And just, that's the way it happens.
Just a little push, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A little push forward. Yeah. Love it.
Anything else you wanted to share, Maren?
No, that's great. I'm so excited to see what comes of my blueprint. I've already got a question for you. So
good.
And if you take our, what do you call the workshop? What's the workshop called?
Creation Overhaul.
Creation Overhaul. I've got some interesting information to share for that. So I'm really excited about that. And then that's, I'm assuming, where we're going to share my blueprint. And so just be prepared. I'm sure I'm going to cry when you tell me stuff, Michelle. So please be patient with my crying.
Yeah. And we again, like I think everybody knows, but I always my workshops and the ones that Maren and I do, we tend to have smaller groups right now because um we like to have the interaction. You know, sometimes when the groups get too big, it can be hard to interact. And with things like this, we really want it to be an interactive experience so that you are able to really ask questions and get guidance and really dig into the information because, you know, as we're going through Marin's, it's going to bring up questions for your own in your own life, and we want to be able to answer that and, you know, offer any additional guidance because that's what it's about. You know, we're here to better each other and to help each other expand in the most authentic way for each of us to bring more peace, more freedom, and to help all those around us too. Because when we do that for ourselves, everybody benefits. Everybody gives opportunities wherever we go, whoever we connect with.
Yep. Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Thank you, Michelle, for your messages today. They were so timely for me, so thank you.
Good.
And I'm on the right path.
Yes.
And we hope to see everybody at the workshop. And then obviously please take advantage of Michelle's amazing abilities. I'm so excited about this blueprint. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to see what Shelby has for me too. That's so exciting. So
That's awesome.
you've got a full docket here of all things for us. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great week, and thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.